Pamela has a distinctive blend of experience in human performance and workplace design engineering, combined with a solid background in neuroscience. I mean, what an unusual combination, which positions her as at the forefront of a revolution in leadership methodologies. Pamela's primary mission is clear to empower leaders and entrepreneurs with the tools and insights needed to harness the power of both biological and artificial intelligence and cutting-edge technology. Through her strategic guidance, she seeks to alleviate frustrations and enhance overall effectiveness, thereby driving bottom-line growth and business organization. And my friend and colleague and someone that I am so excited about inviting you to. She's going to talk to you about how to unveil the subconscious, a deep dive into how it influences buyer behavior. So Pamela, I am thrilled to have you here.
So I want to impress on everybody, because this to me is an astounding thing, that if we realize that the impact that 95% of purchase decisions are made in the subconscious mind, which is amazing. Huge. Yes. That's almost all of those decisions are actually made in the subconscious. And when you understand that the subconscious is actually working in 6 degrees of time, according to the research of Dr. John Bard. So 6 degrees of time is actually that what we're aware of being the past, the present, and the future. The subconscious, the other part of the subconscious, is the hidden past, the hidden present, and the hidden future. And they all work in synchronicity with each other. So the way that those decisions are actually made is by our past experiences and our emotions. They play a role as well. And so as far as our memories and feelings, they help us choose what we want. For example, we might like a brand because it reminds us of something good or makes us feel happy. Have you ever asked somebody why it is that they chose Tide? And they said, well, my mother always used Tide.
Yeah.
Right? There was actually a commercial a long time ago. Yeah. So ads, they usually try to influence our subconscious mind, and ads use tricks to make us want to buy their products. They might show us happy people or use catchy music to help us feel excited. And they know that if they make us feel a certain way, we'll be more likely to buy what they're selling. But
you're so right there, Pam. Oh, go ahead. No, I was just thinking that, with me, I don't watch ads, on TV. I kind of immediately tune out or go in the other room. But I have noticed that sometimes I'll start singing a song, and then I'll realize that I got it from an ad, even though I wasn't consciously watching it.
Yeah, and it may have been years ago that you last heard it. Our brain is actually helping us make decisions while we shop, and we don't even realize it. So if we get into the next slide, I think I've actually touched on how it is that our emotions and past experiences, that all plays into our behavior as consumers. So if we go into the 4th slide, and so the automatic and unconscious processes are in the subconscious. Some of those examples are, when we're unconsciously copying the actions of others, or traits and stereotypes that go along and influence our attitudes and behaviors. How we wouldn't think right now of, well, maybe we might wearing bell bottoms or certain styles that we deem as being outdated, that don't wear those things anymore, like fluorescents. When back in the 80s, we wore fluorescents all the time, but now, that's passé. Yes.
Popsicle pants. That's what I remember. These bright colored pants that Ben wore.
Exactly. And so, but a lot of it is really that quick problem solving and gut feeling that impacts our behavior. That just felt like the right thing to do at the time. And that's why a lot of buying is done impulsively. And then we wake up with a lot of times that I call it a financial hangover because it's like, what was I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to that emotional aspect of things. I remember when my husband passed away, the last thing I should have been doing was buying a car, and especially across the street from where I used to work, you know, but I had to buy a car. And so I bought a car based on the same car that my boss had, same color, although it was a different make, but very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And why? Because I needed to buy a smaller vehicle, and so I was looking at, well, what do other people have? Not really what I wanted. And the salesman, he was more excited about it than I was, you know. And so some of the other things that play into it is the automatic thinking, where we make a quick purchase decision based on the trust, how a product is trustworthy or of good quality, you know, or what we think is that perception of what that is.
Oh,
and so, yeah, I mean, remember at one time where anything out of Japan was considered cheap?
I do indeed, because that's where I was born.
Yeah. But now, no, that's quality.
Yeah, you remember those original cars. We all looked down on them. You know, they were the cheap model, you know, and then they all become, you know, something that really works. It's a completely different reaction to it now.
Yep, exactly. So if we move into the next slide. So I want to just ask, have you ever wondered how things you can't see or notice can still affect your decisions? That's actually what is called subliminal priming effects. And it's when people are exposed to things they can't consciously see, but it still affects them. A lot of times this happens when we're driving, you know, just out of the corner of our eye, we see a child run out from between the cars. And what's our automatic reaction? Did we actually see it, or was it just we didn't take the time to actually think about, oh, I have to move my foot from the gas to the brake?
Yeah, we just automatically do it.
And so that's how powerful and how immediate our decisions can be when we're buying something. And so it happens outside of our awareness, and it influences us without us even knowing. And sometimes it's negative and sometimes it's positive. And more research actually needs to be done in order to fully understand how this really works in marketing and how it affects the consumer. Yeah, because of how powerful it is. And I mean, this, when I work with companies, what I will do, because a lot of times companies are so change saturated. It's almost like the flavor of the month. And a lot of times whenever there's a change in an organization, there's that time of resistance of, I don't want to change. I like the way we did it before. So a lot of times what we'll do is we will prime the change. We will just kind of gradually make the change happen. And then all of a sudden you kind of look around and you go, oh, when did that get there?
Yeah.
That is in essence what's happened, is we've primed the change so that there isn't that resistance. It's just like you didn't even notice the change. And so that is a very powerful thing. And so once again, that's why it is more research needs to be done on the effect of this. So into the next slide, I want to talk about the power of words and images. So when I say the word elephant, what does that make you think about?
A big animal with a trunk and tail, you know, that can remember anything.
Now, but did you see the word, or did you see the image of an elephant?
I saw the image of an elephant.
Right. Because we think in pictures. So, yes. And so even certain words will create certain emotions. And that's what actually gives us empathy and allows us the ability to better relate with each other. But when it comes to buying, a lot of times when we're shopping, what kind of music is played in the store?
Well, Christmas music, and they seem to start it in November.
Yeah. And what does that do when we hear cute Christmas music?
Oh,
do we buy more or do we buy less?
Oh, more.
Mm-hmm.
More. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely more. And other times of the year, what will it be? Something soft and mellow and, creates a lot of emotions. And if you're in grief, or if reminds you of something really sad, that's why a lot of times those that are in grief spend a lot more money because of the fact that they're in that emotion. And so there is the effect that words and images have on us in our decisions. So if we move into the next slide, so some of the important lessons that we need to understand is the implications for marketing and for advertising. So this is because we know that what these things can do. Some of the sneaky messages, sometimes ads can have hidden messages that we don't even notice. These messages can actually make us want to buy something, and marketers can use specific words and pictures to influence our choices. Sensory ads, they make us feel things by using our senses. Like, there's a certain ad that comes to mind for orange juice. And there's this nice juicy orange that, it's just got that little from the orange that you almost you can taste the orange, right? What is it that you seem to say, oh, I think I'm thirsty. I think I want some orange juice. Yeah. And so they use colors and sounds and smells to make us like the product more. And so ads can also be in certain places that make us feel good or think positively. So like an ad for ice cream shown on the beach. It makes us want to buy more. Yeah. Especially when it's hot out, like during the summertime.
Works on me every time.
Yeah. Okay, and so what about the ice cream truck? The ice cream truck, it plays certain music, and over and over and over, pop goes the weasel. And we liken that to when we were children, and the ice cream truck would come by, and
Yep.
So then
I can hear it
playing on that memory. Yes, exactly. When we're around different people, there's different effects. Not everyone responds the same way to ads. Some people might be influenced more than others. Those who have certain addictions, it might be more enticing to them because of that addiction.
Sure.
Remember when there used to be the cigarette commercials?
Oh, yes.
And if you were a smoker, exactly. Whereas if you're not a smoker, then it wouldn't really make a difference. It
would make it would reinforce.
That really has an
effect. It's
right. Yeah. And so having an understanding of how the subconscious works can actually help a marketer to make better ads. But it's also important to understand, to be honest, so that it's not a matter of tricking people. Because as a marketer, we have the power to make our own choices, and we have to, give other people that same opportunity to actually decide, is this something that I really want to do? So, which leads me into the next slide, which talks about the ethical considerations. Okay. So the use of conscious influence in marketing, it raises ethical concerns. Transparency and informed consumer choices are important. So when we have subliminal messaging and use neuromarketing techniques, that it's actually sparked an ethical debate because of the influence of behavior without awareness. So if I'm doing a behavior that I'm not even aware I'm doing it, did I actually choose that behavior? No. So some of the ethical considerations are informed consent. Am I informed about my choice in doing this? So the line between manipulation and persuasion is a consideration. And I think that this is stuff that as we become more aware, and that we have the that we can talk about more of these. So the vulnerability and targeting. Are we targeting this towards a certain demographic that is vulnerable?
And I'm sure that happens a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when we're marketing towards children, they're vulnerable. They don't have the same reasoning as an adult does to decide, is this really something that I should or should not do? And into the aspect of privacy and autonomy, you know, and especially more and more around technology. And is that taking more and more away of our privacy and our autonomy, as well as oversight and regulation? So marketers should use these techniques responsibly and ethically.
Very important point. And I think we're talking about buyer behaviors. You know, it sounds to me like what you're saying is that we really need to be responsible in the way that we are using marketing.
Yes,
and be aware
absolutely
of how and be aware of those subliminal messages that we're giving that are going to make us go out and buy that next car when we can't afford it.
Yeah, exactly.
We know that it works that way. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So on to the next slide. Yeah, so in conclusion, I want to just say and impress on influence the subconscious actually has in our behavior as consumers, and the ethical concerns that are around transparency and informed choices, and to give key considerations around consent, distinguishing between manipulation and persuasion, the vulnerability of certain groups, privacy and autonomy, and the need for ethical oversight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's kind of like your own check. Is this something that you know, where's that line? So I think that it's a responsibility of marketers to have an understanding of the subconscious influence techniques and use them responsibly and ethically.
Yeah, ethically. Yeah, and that's, we've been talking earlier today about sales conversations, and some sales conversations and the way they teach you to do sales conversations are manipulative. You know, they're not persuasive, they are manipulative. And that is something that we have to ethically decide on our own. You know, it's who we are. It has to be something that we consider. And I think so many of us are unaware of this, you know, as it's going on in our own lives. I doubt there's anybody, you know, within hearing distance that has not had that happen to them, you know, who is not overspent on Christmas because their child saw something and, you know, wants that, or, you know, whatever it is. Yes, there are times in our lives when we are more vulnerable, and we have to be aware of that, you know, and how it's affecting us.
Yes.
But I think the main thing that I get out of this is that we need to give it that strong consideration and look at what our own behaviors are and how they're influencing people that we're trying to sell to. Would that be a fair conclusion? Okay, listen, this has been, this is really, really important. I think most of us, you know, may have this vague understanding that this is going on, but we don't understand the neuroscience behind it, you know, and how that works. And it just seems to be something that is so important, because when we're talking about digital marketing and the ability to use that in ways that really, I mean, we've seen them that are very unethical, you know, if you want to go back to that Marlboro man, you know, keeping that research, you know, secret for so long. Think about some of the social platforms, you know, and there are some that I have just left simply out of ethical considerations. I couldn't deal with what they were doing. And I think this is something that we really have to consciously take out and look at and examine and make our own decisions about transparency and all that. It brings back, when you talk about transparency, I come from higher ed, so I come from that research, you know, concept. you know, we have to look at these kinds of things in research where we're dealing with human subjects, because there have been, we know in our history, there have been times when we weren't honest with our subjects. We didn't disclose what was going on. And it's just as bad an ethical violation to me if we mark it that way.
Yes.
You know,
yeah. Yesterday I saw this ad where the guy actually came out and he was describing what his product was and everything, and then goes on to say, and with the power of AI, you know, this isn't even me speaking. And I mean, it is actually, and like, we don't have to hire actors. We don't have to, you know, we just type in the words and the voice gets put out there, and you don't even have to have an actor to do it. You can just basically create, and the guy looked so real. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah, you know, we had somebody earlier today, in fact, he was here yesterday too, who was talking about AI, and he showed us a lot of the kinds of things that, you know, that are possible. And
the kind of, that's where,
yeah, I'm getting, you're breaking up again.
Don't even,
Pamela, I think the gremlins have gotten us again, and we're having a little trouble hearing, but I do want to tell everybody about your gift. Yeah, and so, oh, good. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, so I want to make sure that everyone knows about your gift, because it is very exciting, and I wanted them to hear about it. So if you'll describe it, I'm going to drop the link for everybody. Oop, nope,
I'm here.
Yeah, hold on. I have to get the link. Yes, because you're talking about that content planning calendar and metrics, and that's something that we can all use, you know, and that we all need to be aware of, because, you know, by planning it out, we can really look at what we're doing and where we're taking it. Yeah, that's
the effect.
Yeah. Okay. So I am dropping the link here to Pamela's gift. We had been having a discussion, because I always want to say free gift, and a gift is free. You know, it is. But we do that. Yeah. So we only need gift. But I wonder if you could just talk about it for a minute and tell people what this involves. Wait a minute. Did it show up?
What it involves is it gives a space for you to plan out what you're planning on, like, as far as, especially for your social media, but as far as all of your plans. And then it also gives a space for your key metrics. How many people actually did click through? How many people actually, you know, spent some time on looking at things, or did they just pass by? And so then it gives the opportunity, and it does it for each month. So you can plan out for 30 days, or you can plan out even like for a full year. But then at the end of that month, you can look back at your metrics and say, okay, what did the numbers tell me? And where do we have room for improvement before you get so to important. Like 6 months out and you're going, oh, great. And if you're not keeping track of your metrics, then it's all in the numbers. Just like it is in your money side of your business, it's the same thing. They're in your measurements as far as your advertising.
How you're doing and what the results are. Yeah, I mean, that's we know that, and that's something we tell people. It took me a few years to hear that message, you know, and now with artificial intelligence, we can go in and do research and, you know, and be very careful about checking whether it's, you know, it's accurate or not, but we can do those things, but we still need to understand on a regular basis where we're going and what's being effective. Because one of my things is that I can remember the first couple of years, I wasn't checking metrics. And I look back at that and I look at what I was doing and it's like, hello. So yeah, checking those metrics on a monthly basis so you don't get to the end of 2024 with a dismal record, you know, makes all the sense in the world. That's when you can course correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's easier to correct at the beginning or as you're going along, because even one being out 1 degree, if you're headed for the moon, you'll miss it.
That's a
1
really
degree.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. This has just been eye-opening.
That VIP gift is actually time with me, learning about, it's the basis of, you know, growing your brain, you grow your life. The brain is one of our most important organs. And if it's not healthy, then nothing else is healthy. And so I'm offering a 1-day workshop with me to learn about the fundamentals of that.
That's amazing, Pamela. That's just so generous of you. Listen, Pamela, this has been so informative, and I really thank you. And I do really hope that you will come on my show, the Dumont Digital Marketing Hour, and talk more about this, because it's something that I'd like to really be able to delve into a little bit deeper. Good night.
Thank you.